Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to look at my suggested 5 starter pens. So these are pens for someone brand new to the fountain pen hobby and what pens I think they may be worth starting off with. Now I am expecting a bit of controversy this time because there's 2 pens which you normally see on starter lists that I just have not included. So join me now down on the table, let's jump on in and take a look at these. Welcome down to the table. So my non-Chinese starter pens, these are pens that I would recommend for somebody who's fairly new to the fountain pen hobby and they're wanting to really play around with a few pens without spending a massive fortune on them. The paper I'm going to use today, this is Ayush paper. It's 100 GSM paper, got a slight creaminess to it and also a slight bit of texture. Just turn this around just because it's easier for me to write. And our first pen. The first pen is the Platinum Preppy. Here we go. This is a really cheap pen. It does not come with a converter. It does come with cartridges, but it doesn't come with a converter. You have to buy the converter separately if you want to use one. And the converter costs more than the actual pen itself, which is a bit odd, I always feel. This is just a transparent version. There's a number of different versions of this. Some of them got some nice colours on it as well. So as I've already said, this is a cartridge converter. Here we've got the cartridge in there. It says below on here, it's not. I've refilled this with the ink that I want to use. That's one of the beauties with these. It's easy to refill the cartridges. Might be a bit advanced for some people, but at least you know it's there. But you can buy platinum cartridges. Now I'm going to agitate this slightly as I'm talking, because in here I've got a chameleon ink. All plastic fittings, which means you can eyedropper this pen. So that means you could fill the whole body with ink rather than having a cartridge or a converter. I've done it a couple of times. It can get a bit messy at times because although it seems that you don't get a perfect seal. So even though I've put on there, I've tried an O-ring, I've tried silicone grease, can't get it to seal. But it's there if you want to. The nib on here. This is a steel platinum nib. This is a 05. So they don't put on these fine medium like a lot of other pens. They've got 03, 05, and I think there's a number of other ones. But this is a 05, which writes somewhere between a fine and a medium nib. So we've got here a platinum. This feels very, very light in the hand. Preppy with a 05 nib. Price for this pen, $10. So very nice. If you're getting into fountain pens, you could buy this. You could buy some cartridges without spending a fortune. The ink, I say I'm using my own inks in here. So this is a Diamine ink and it's called Humbug. Love it. Love the name. Wasky Squirrel Grid. I forgot to do this in the Chinese video. So up and down. As you can see, fairly fine writer going across. And then we do our grids. So this is ready to see if there's any line variation, which I'm not seeing any of. Drying times, we go immediate. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds, that's nice and dry. The cap on this I didn't show, just pulls off and then clicks back on. It's a nice satisfying click when it goes on. So this is the Platinum Preppy. Let's move it up a bit. The next pen is from India. The Preppy, by the way, is from Japan. So we're going to India. This is a Kanwrite Heritage. This is a piston filling pen. So, unlike a lot of piston fillers where that would have been the actual knob, this is a blind cap and that reveals the piston mechanism here. So you would twist that to push it down, dip the pen in the ink, twist it back, that draws the ink up. We've got a ink window here. There we go. You can actually see through it because there's no ink in here at all, or next to none. I'm hoping there's enough to do my writing sample with. If there isn't, I do have the ink bottle handy, so I can always dip it. The ink in here is a Starbright ink, so as it dries we should see a whole load of like silver shimmer coming through. Got a number 6 nib on here. This is a Kanwrite nib. This is really comfortable to hold. It's got a nice wide section there. So we've got here a Kanwrite Heritage with a double broad nib. Got loads of different choices of nibs with the Kanwrite series of pens. The price for this, approximately 42 Aussie dollars. The ink by Diamine, and it's a noble fur. Now I'm going to do the drying times just in case this runs out. So here's immediate, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, well, that's dried there at 30 seconds. Now that seemed to be going a bit dry as I was writing with it. So what I've done whilst it was drying, loads of dries there, is I've twisted the piston and I've pushed all the way down. You can actually now see the piston in there in the window, just to see if I push any more ink through. So let's go back and do now that wasky squirrel grid. This is why I did the drying times when I did, because the problem is when you dip in a pen, I always find the drying times are a little bit misleading. So I've got the ink here, Noble Fur. As you can see, it's Starbright, so I'm just agitating it. And what I'm going to do is dip the pen in the ink for the next couple of tests. Right, so there we go, that's got that into suspension. So let's try for our wasky squirrel grid. So we're going up and down. You can see the effect this double broad has, really filling that up quickly. Then across. And down, and some diagonals. So with this pen with the double broad nib, what I'm seeing here where I'm doing the diagonals, when I'm going from right to left, going down, it seems thinner than when I'm going left to right. So we're getting some little bit of natural line variation there. Oh, I've managed to get ink all over my paper. I don't know, how messy am I? Hopefully that won't affect what we're doing. So let's move on up. Say goodbye to the Kanwrite Heritage, and we'll say hello to a German pen. Just turn it around. This is a Kaweco Sport. This is a pocket pen. Yeah, I know it's small. There's the Preppy next to it, so you can get an idea for the size. Looks tiny. Cartridge converter pen. You can screw this. Oh, now that might cause me an issue. We've got a bit of a splat there. One of the things I do find with this, so this is a Kaweco cartridge, but they do often come out. I should have been more careful when I was taking that lid off, so it was a good thing to show you, really. Again, it's all plastic, so you can eyedropper this if you want. I have done on my other one, which is slightly transparent, so I can see the ink levels. Let me just dry this off. I shouldn't be trusted really, should I, with ink? Anyway, here we go. So what I've done, unposted, the pen is quite small. But once you post it, it becomes a reasonable length. So we've got here a Kaweco Sport. On here, I've got a broad nib. The price for this pen, 43 Aussie dollars. Loads of different colours in this as well, and at $43, not overly expensive. The ink is by Diamine, and it's Spruce. Let's do our grid. So again, up and down. Taking ages to fill that compared to the Kanwrite, isn't it? Then going across. The ink in this, I did like I did with the Preppy. So what I do is I've got a Kaweco cartridge, and all I do is refill it with whatever ink I want to use. So there's going down, and here's my diagonals. So on this one, not really seeing much line variation. Drying times, so we go immediate, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute. After a minute, still getting a teeny smudge there, but that could be from the ink on my finger. But I would say that's dry at a minute. So this is the Kaweco Sport. I'm going to move this up quite a bit because I want to avoid my splotches. So we've only got 2 more pens to do. So the next pen, staying in Germany, and this is a Faber-Castell Hexo. It's still fairly new to me. I do try to get a lot of different pens, so I try all sorts of different price ranges. But I'm very, very impressed by this. The cap pulls off, wings through the body. It's a cartridge converter. It came with a cartridge. All I'm doing is refilling the cartridge like I am with a couple of the other pens. I have read that you can use an international standard converter. I've not tried it, so I don't know. But there is a Faber-Castell converter that can be bought. I just go for filling the cartridge. Let's pop this back on. It's very nice fit in the hand. There we go. And we've got a black nib. We've got the darkness of the body, so this black nib goes really well with it. And yes, it's a small looking nib, but don't let that put you off. So we've got here a Faber-Castell. I can never remember if it's 1L or 2. It's 2. Hexo. With a broad nib. It's a wide range of different nib sizes. Wow, I love writing with this pen. It blew me away the first time I wrote with it. 46 Aussie dollars. You know, it's a bargain for $46, I will be honest with you. The ink is by Colorverse. And it's Dante's Cosmology. Nice blue ink, this. So let's fill that grid up. And then down and diagonals. On this paper, it's singing to me. I don't know if you could hear it on the mic. I don't think you could. But there's like, I want to say it's like a squeakiness, but it's like it's singing as I'm writing. Drying times. So we got immediate. 10 seconds. I've used the wrong finger. All right, let's try 30 seconds. We're dry there at 30 seconds. This is one of the problems I have with these videos. I quickly run out of fingers, and given that this is the second one of these that I've recorded today, the other one was the actual Chinese ones, I've definitely run out of fingers. I mean, there we go. There's my hand. Then I need to give that a good scrub. Anyway, that's the Faber-Castell Hexo. Let's move this up slightly. The final pen, we're going to Taiwan. You could argue it's part of China. You could argue it isn't. So that's why I separate. So the previous video was all mainland China, whereas this is an island. So from Taiwan, we've got a TWSBI, and this is a TWSBI Eco. Now, people may argue saying, but Gary, is that really a starter pen? Because this is a piston filling pen. I think it is. It might not be the very first one you get, but then it might be your second or your third. I love the transparent nature. This is one of the beautiful things with the Ecos. So we've got this transparent barrel, so you can hopefully see the ink sloshing around. And then there's loads of different colours. The nib on here, it's a TWSBI nib. It's a 1.1 stub nib, really nice. Again, loads of different options for your nibs from TWSBI. So we've got here a TWSBI. And this is the Eco. Just giving this a shake. We've got in here a shimmering ink. Price-wise, you're looking approximately 59 Aussie dollars. The ink by Diamine. And it's merry and bright. I love the look of this ink. It's a beautiful colour. Let's do our grid. So we go up and down. That 1.1 stub there, we're using that stub nature there going across. But look at this when we're going across that way. A lot narrower. There's our lines. So we can see there the difference in lines and then diagonals. So again, very thin going that way, a lot wider going that way. Drying times, we go immediate, 10 seconds. Wow, that's drying quite quick, isn't it? 30 seconds. There we are, that's dry at 30 seconds. Now with all of these drying times, please bear in mind that it's quite warm here and I've got a desk fan on. You might have seen the paper blowing occasionally, so that's blowing across the paper as well, so that does affect some of the drying times. So anyway, that's the TWSBI Eco. Just dropping in to interrupt your regular programming. Would you like to help support the channel? If so, please consider joining as a member. As a member, you'll get early access to my videos. I normally upload them a couple of days before they go out, and as soon as they're uploaded, they'll be released to members. There'll also be a shout out at the end of the videos, and then as we get the members coming in, we'll actually chat among ourselves and work out what other perks, what other things you'd like me to add in. You know, would you like maybe a monthly live chat just for members? All down to us. So please, if you can, consider joining the channel. A link will be in the description down below. And I'm going to fetch in this notepad. This is Tomoe River 52 GSM and it's the old style paper. So let me just fetch this in to hold that down. I've turned the fan off for this because this paper, with it being 52 GSM, blows so easily. What I'm going to do is write a sentence with each of the pens, and as I'm writing the sentence, I'll hold the mic down near the page so you can actually hear that pen write. That's nice, there's a bit of scratchiness to it, but it's also fairly smooth. It's not like catching the paper, although it does sound a little bit like it's scratching it. Let's see how we go with the Heritage. How long will the ink last? So I managed to do that without the need to re-dip. Again, it's feeling like it's a little bit scratchy. It's comfortable though, I like it, I enjoy it, but I like that little bit of feedback. I like the scratchiness because to me it gives a lovely tactileness to the pen when you're writing. The Kaweco Sport. Very similar to the previous two. Feels a bit smoother though. Still got some nice tactileness to it, but it does feel that little bit smoother. The Faber-Castell Hexo. So with that one, I'm not getting the singing that I was getting on the Ayush paper. Whenever I use this pen, it really reminds me of writing with a felt tip. It's lovely. I really, really like writing with this pen. And it really does surprise me. Just move this ever so slightly. I've got a mug holding that paper down here. Final pen. Let's give it a little bit of an agitation before we start. This is the TWSBI Eco. That's another nice one. That nib, And I find this with all my Eco nibs feels a lot softer, as if it's got a little bit of bounce to it. Very pleasurable to write with. Let's fetch the Ayush paper back. So here's that Ayush paper. We're going to take a quick look at the inks now they've had a chance to dry. So with the Diamine bar Humbug at the top here. Nice, very dark, I want to say like a dark purple. And then it's difficult to see, but I do think there's little sparkles, but I do struggle to see that. With the Diamine Noble Fur, wow, just look at this. Hopefully the camera's catching it. All that silver from that Starbright coming through. Absolutely stunning. Not really a professional looking ink, but when you're doing stuff for yourself, I mean, this would be ideal in things like Christmas cards. The Kaweco Sport with Diamine Spruce, so this has got a sheen to it. So hopefully, again, the camera will pick this up. That's a nice red sheen coming through there. The Dante's Cosmology, the standard ink. Nice, I want to say like a bluey purple or a purpley blue. I quite like it, quite an enjoyable colour. And then at the bottom we've got Merry and Bright. Not seeing much in the way of the shimmer, seeing some as we're looking there, but it's not all in your face, not like that Noble Fur. So the pens that we've looked at today, we had the Platinum Preppy, we had the Kanwrite Heritage, the Kaweco Sport, the Faber-Castell Hexo, and the TWSBI Eco. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What do you think of my list? What do you think of me not including the Pilot Metropolitan and the Lamy Safari? Please drop your comments down below. Let's kickstart a conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.